Easter morning edition of the Field of 68 Best Bets podcast and Best Bets live stream. This one's going to be quick. I have some Easter bunny duties that I'm going to have to fulfill here in a little bit.
What do you Easter bunny? What do you dress up like the Easter bunny?
No. Just go have some fun. Just do a little Easter egg hunt. I got to go make some breakfast. We got some croissants, some nice fresh croissants. We have some apple fritters. I got to go make I got a pile of bacon like this big that I got to go make.
You cook all that? And Gabrielle doesn't cook?
Oh, trust me. I'm a good cook. Trust me.
She doesn't cook at all?
You wonder what I made for dinner last night? How about this?
Go ahead.
Take a pork tenderloin. You season it with apple and marinade. I took a pound of bacon. Do you know what a bacon weave is?
No.
It's when you lay the 6 pieces of bacon down and then 6 pieces of bacon down this way and weave them together. Right? Does that make sense? You wrap the pork tenderloin, right? Then you season the outside of the bacon, okay? Then you throw it on the smoker, right? You throw it on the smoker for an hour. Then you make a glaze of maple sugar or maple syrup, brown sugar, and a little bit of bourbon, right? And you glaze the outside of the bacon. And that's what I made for dinner last night. It was unbelievable. Maybe the best thing I've ever eaten in my entire life.
B2 Atlantic's right. Your cooking is better than your gambling picks.
Yes. You're right. You're right. All right. So, Jeff, you were there last night. You were in the building. We've all seen the shot. If you're watching this, there's no doubt you've seen this shot. So take me through what that moment was like for you in the building. What did it sound like? What did it feel like? Where were you sitting? Did Jalen Suggs come and jump on your lap? What happened? Talk me through it.
No, but we had good seats. I was first row behind the basket on the other side. I had a great view of it, and I had a great view of Johnny Juzang tying it up. I mean, he drives to the basket, misses his shot, gets the putback. I'm like, all right, we're going to double overtime here, right? Like, we're getting 5 more minutes. This is awesome. And it's just been obviously a great game throughout. You had the underdog UCLA, which we thought was going to go away all game, and it never did. It never did. I think it was more honestly like UCLA that we've not underrated them all year, but just how they stepped up and played in the tournament. The level of play all tournament long. They matched baskets with Gonzaga all night for the most part. And then all of a sudden, Jalen Suggs gets the ball, and I'm like, there's no way. There's no way. There's no way. Holy fucking shit. Like, it was just like shock, I think, more than anything. Absolute shock and mayhem with Gonzaga. You just wish, and I tweeted this, in the building, among the media, we're all looking at each other, but you just wish you weren't looking at cardboard cutouts. And that's what you're looking at. You were looking at – I couldn't even see the people because there are so many cardboard cutouts that I couldn't see the people, in the crowd. It just didn't have that juice to it. It didn't have it. It was an amazing moment. One of the best games of all time that frankly didn't have any atmosphere in the building, which was just it was sad for those kids, for Gonzaga and UCLA, frankly. And it was just Jalen Suggs is just amazing, man. Like we said it early in the season, he should be in the mix for the number 1 overall pick. And I had an NBA GM, multiple ones, tell me last night, because I had done a poll earlier in the year, maybe halfway through the year. And at that point, it was Cade, but Jalen Suggs was kind of on his ass a little bit when I polled the NBA guys. And I had one of them who picked Jalen Suggs then, and he said, that's why I picked Jalen Suggs. Like, the guy has just big cojones. He'll make big shots, and he can just – again, like, not only that shot, that block. So he hits the biggest shot of the game, gets the biggest block of the game, and has the best pass of the game, all in one, basically 2 sequences.
Yeah. So the thing about the block and the pass, everyone's going to remember the shot because everybody always remembers the shot. Like, that's going down in lore with Chris Jenkins and Christian Laettner and Bryce Drew and all of these shots. But the block and the pass were the 2 plays that, to me, are the reason why Jalen Suggs was in a position to be able to make that shot. Because if he doesn't get that block, that's a 4-point swing right there, right? Because Cody Riley had a wide open dunk. There's no reason should have been able to block that shot.
Right.
Riley had a wide open dunk.
Yeah.
And Suggs got a finger on it. Coming down the other direction, he threw a one-handed bounce pass from behind half court that led to a dunk. Think about that for a second. Behind half court, one-handed bounce pass to a dunk. And that goes from what should have been a 79-77 UCLA lead with 2 minutes left to a 79-77 Gonzaga lead with 2 minutes left.
Big difference.
Which is a huge difference.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I want to say is that not only was that ability to break the game open a perfect example of what Jalen Suggs is right now, but the possession immediately before that was a perfect example of what Jalen Suggs is right now, because he did one of the dumbest things you could ever do on a basketball court. Johnny Juzang, right wing, entry pass into Cody Riley. The one thing you never do on an entry pass from the strong side is leave your man and go double the post, especially when the guy that you are leaving to double has not missed a shot in 6 weeks.
Amazing.
Why are you leaving Johnny Juzang there?
Yeah.
Of course he bangs a three that put UCLA up by 2 or put UCLA up by 1. And so the fact that he was able to bounce back from that, something that like in a different setting would get him benched for 2 weeks. Like, did you see Mark Few never shows emotion on the bench? And they zoomed in on Mark Few and he was fired up.
Was he?
Yeah, he was fired up on the bench. Jalen Suggs did that. So, shout out to him. So you mentioned, and we can move on after this, but I just want to mention that I thought, UCLA played an unbelievable game. None of those kids have any reason to hold their heads down. I hope that
and they knew that. Walking off the court, Rob, you could tell like Johnny Juzang was doing this, looking up at the crowd. They knew they weren't supposed to be there. They weren't supposed to be there in the first place, and they weren't supposed to be there at the end of the game to where Jalen Suggs had to make that shot to knock him out.
Yeah, and it's not just that they weren't supposed to be there. Like, they played well enough to win that game. They beat anybody not named Gonzaga if they play that way.
Or Baylor.
They might even beat Baylor, man. Like, that was the ability that they had to make tough shots throughout the entire tournament.
I don't know, maybe.
How about this? They were 9 for 9 between 15 and 19 feet, in between like the elbows extended.
Yeah.
Cody Riley hit 4 18-foot jump balls.
That was insane.
These are shots you if you're Gonzaga, those are the shots you want them to take. If you're Gonzaga and you can get Johnny Juzang driving to his left and hitting a pull-up with Jalen Suggs with a hand in his face, a perfect contest after being dogged the entire possession, just unbelievable game. Like, to me, that's what I'm going to remember more than anything else, is that UCLA took every single punch, man. Like, there were 3 or 4 moments in that game where UCLA could have folded, just like they could have folded 3 or 4 different times throughout the season. When after the hook and hold, Gonzaga got it, and it looked like they were ready to put that away. In overtime, when Nembhard hit that step back 3 to put about 5 with a minute left, and at the other end, Johnny Juzang bangs home a 3 to keep it close. It was the fight and the resiliency of that team, just unbelievable, man. There's not enough platitudes that you can give that UCLA team for the performance that they had last night.
I said it to you at the end last night when I got back to the room. I'm glad the refs got the call right on the Timmy charge, because that could have changed. I mean, that was a game. If they get that call wrong, the game's over. Yep. The game's absolutely over. And what a play by Drew Timme to take that charge. I mean, that's his 5th foul, but he's got to do it there. He's got to do it, and it was the right call. But, man, you're just talking about, again, putting it in the ref's hands there, and not an easy call to make. They often screw that call up. I can't remember which official got it, but they got it right.
I think there were 2 that got it right. I mean, look, that one, I am as anti-charge as anybody, right? But that one right there was not the play that any of us have an issue with, because Timmy was there for like 15 minutes, and Juzang just ran straight into him. It's the ones where you undercut people that are in the air as a help defender.
Right. Those are the worst. Right.
That's not the one. I would prefer if standing there and getting run into was no longer a play in basketball. But, like, there's nothing – that's no different right there than the foul that was called on Jalen Suggs when he ran into a guy setting a screen, right? Like, that was just – he barreled him over it. I mean, that's a foul every single time. So it is what it is. All right, you have anything else on this game? Like we literally did 90 minutes last night on this game. Like I could go.
No, I mean, I got plenty more on this game, but
let's have it. What else? We'll do 5 more minutes on this, and we'll talk a little bit about Baylor's win, and we can talk about the national title game, and then we can get out of here.
I mean, again, I think what this game showed us is how good that starting 5 is for Gonzaga, right? Like everybody did their part in this game. Suggs was obviously the hero, but Timmy early in overtime with 4 fouls, they went to him. They kept going to him. They kept going to him, right? And he showed how unstoppable he can be. Joel Ayayi honestly kept him in the game early, right? Like Ayayi doesn't make shots. Nobody else is scoring early. Nobody. Kispert wasn't great, but I feel like the one thing Kispert always brings is this, the even keel. Even if he's not making shots, he's being aggressive. He missed some easy shots, to be honest, which is unlike him, but he's the leader of that team, and Nembhard hit a huge three. Huge three.
Kispert also made a couple of really, really big plays. Like he hit some threes that were very important for UCLA or for Gonzaga being able to stay in that game. The dunk that he had coming through the lane,
yes,
was, a huge kind of momentum play. I mean, and again, UCLA had every answer. That was just so. Let me ask you this: where does that rank for you in terms of greatest NCAA tournament games you've ever seen, greatest college basketball games you've ever seen? Like, where does that rank in the pantheon of great games?
I mean, it might be 2. I'd have to think about it a little bit more. In terms of the actual game, again, I think it's top 3. I mean, Villanova, Carolina is obviously 1 for me. I don't know how it couldn't be, being that it was the national title game and that play with that crowd. Again, the one thing that was missing here was the atmosphere. It might have been better on TV in a way for you guys.
You couldn't tell on TV.
Right. See, you could tell in the arena, you're just kind of, again, you're looking around. I'm trying to find Bryce Drew. Early, I'm trying to find, whoever to look for. And I can't even find the people. I can't even find fans because they're all mixed among these damn cardboard cutouts. It's so, again, the game itself, I think was top 3 probably of all time I've been to. I don't know how it wouldn't be. You had scoring. You had the Cinderella story. You had the team, fighting for perfection. You had every storyline. You had the setup of the championship game. Like, I'm not going to hide it. I wanted Gonzaga Baylor. I didn't want UCLA Baylor, to be honest. So it worked out perfect. You had this unbelievable game to get to what could be a historic game tomorrow night. So it was perfect. It was what the tournament needed too, Rob, because the tournament hadn't had one of these. It had good games, but it hadn't had an epic game. And to have that epic game at that moment when everybody's watching, let's face it, a lot of casual fans aren't watching throughout the tournament. My wife was watching last night. She didn't watch every game of the tournament. She picked and choose. She watched a few here and there. But my wife and daughter both watched that entire game. At least I think they did. And that's where, again, it's one of those historic moments that people will never forget. Because, like you said, because of the shot, but the game leading up to the shot was equally as entertaining and dramatic.
That's the thing about it for me is, UCLA scored 1.33 points per possession and lost in overtime. We had an opportunity to win at the buzzer in the final seconds of regulation. We had a game-tying bucket with 3 seconds left, and then an answer to win the game with at the buzzer of overtime. But it was, for me, so I think I would probably rank it as the greatest game that I've ever seen, because I just thought that the actual game itself, like throughout the finish of UCLA North Carolina was better.
Yes.
I thought that the actual game itself, like that, neither team was ever ahead by more than 7 points.
Right.
There was never a situation where anybody scored more than 6 straight points by themselves. I think that they were tied for I think it was at 11 minutes of the 45 minutes of the game. There were 20 different lead changes. everything about the way that actual game was played was stressful from the minute that the ball was tipped. And I don't know if you can necessarily say the same thing about Villanova, North Carolina. The ending was iconic. The fact that it was for a national title meant that there was more on the line. But I think that with the added pressure of playing for an undefeated season, combined with everything else that was going into this game, it's just I don't know if there's a better one. I honestly cannot think of.
Like Ryan Monroe just said, it reminded me of the Kentucky-Carolina game with the Luke May shot. All of this is true. All of this is true. The one thing, again, in the building was I don't think at the time we realized it. I think it took some time to be able to reflect on the game itself because, again, it didn't have that emotion in the building. There was no air in the building. So I think, again, that's the biggest differentiator. The game itself was every bit as good as Villanova, Carolina. Every bit as good as Kentucky, Carolina. Maybe better. But it lacked that one element that all those other games had, which was the crowd going bananas throughout. And then the eruption at the end of the game, the oohs, the ahs, all of it. We didn't have any of that in the building. It was just so surreal because of that, right? It was such a great game, but like I'm looking at Borzello next to me, you know, and that's all you're really looking at. The media people next to you, you're watching Jalen Suggs and his teammates celebrate, but they're not really celebrating with anybody.
Well, all right. So just be honest. The biggest reason you didn't think it was one of the best games you've ever seen is because you had to sit next to Borzello to watch it.
That was bad. That was not good.
That was not good. Right.
That was not good.
Let's talk a little bit about Baylor and Houston because I thought that was – everyone has been discussing the fact that Jared Butler got it going and started shooting it. And there you go. Now you get your Baylor hat on. Everyone started talking about
the bottom both.
how impressive it was that Jared Butler got going and the fact that he's the difference maker. And I think it was Everyday John turning into Everyday John again that made all of the in the world for this team and this game. And it was a simple fact, like the threat that he provides as a roller in the ball screen stuff that Baylor runs changed everything for him because, I mean, he had that little 12-foot push shot. He had a dunk in the second half. He started rolling really, really hard. And what happened is, like, Houston wasn't able to cover both him and the guy in the weak side corner. They decided that they were going to give up open corner threes, which ended up just killing them. They had no shot once they started giving those up. And so the fact that he was able to get it going were really they needed that. That's exactly what Baylor needed.
Well, what Baylor needed, right, they needed someone in the front line because they had that in a while, right? Like Mark Vital is awesome defensively, but you know he's so limited offensively. I thought the biggest difference, and we knew that going in, was Baylor could match Houston's toughness. They showed that, but what they had is guys that could make shots like that. That was the difference in that game. Rob, was they had guys that could make shots consistently, and Houston had one. Marcus Sasser, who made shots out of his ass. Like Davion Mitchell did a good job on him, and he still made shots. The problem is Houston has two guys total that can make shots, and one of them honestly didn't show up, and Quentin Grimes, couldn't get off the shot.
He played well in the second half, but the game was already over by the chance of that.
Yeah, it didn't matter. I mean, first half was all that mattered. Baylor was absolutely dominant on both ends. They looked like the team that again, as I wrote after the game, they looked like the team that we were questioning back in January and early February. Who was the best team in the country? Both teams were undefeated, Gonzaga and Baylor.
That's the thing, and I hope people remember this, is that I went back and January 28th, that morning, right, the night before, the January 20th was a Thursday. The night before was a Wednesday. And the night before was when Baylor went into Kansas State and beat them by 48 points. The next day, Gonzaga played San Diego and beat them by 30 at San Diego.
Yeah.
But that morning, Thursday morning, we woke up and Baylor was the number one team in Ken Palm's rankings. Number one.
I didn't care.
Their COVID shut down and they stopped. Then they weren't able to practice forever. Like we know those stories. We don't need to go back down that path. But they were on January 28th ranked as the best team on Ken Palm. So this idea that it's been Gonzaga and everybody else is only the case because Baylor was not Baylor because they had an 18-day shutdown, and then they spent 3 weeks trying to get themselves right and get themselves back into shape after spending 2.5 weeks sitting in an apartment doing nothing, just getting fat. So it was
on February 2nd. No, what we forget on February 2nd, they went to Austin and beat Texas by 14 points. And then the shutdown came.
Jeff, we have people calling you a little bit biased for the hat that you have on. Can you just show
put the other hat on? What are you talking about? I just took this hat off. What would you like?
Got them both. He's got them both.
I got them both.
Yeah.
I'm mixing them both up here. When we talked about the Gonzaga game,
you are biased, but you're just anti UCLA and anti Houston.
Yeah, I'm biased. I wanted this game. This is the game I wanted. What do you want? All right, fine. I'll go back to the damn Cal hat.
No, we're both on at the same time. Be a man. Show Michael. Put them in his place. Put them both on at the same time. Do it.
No, Michael ruined it for me. He ruined it for me.
All right, so let's talk about this game. We had Sam Vecini, Deshaun Butler, and John Fanto on the stream last night, and we went in depth like 45 minutes on this game. And at least he got the joke. Michael's a good sport. We like you, Michael. Big guy. So take me through what you think, how this is going to play out, who you like, and what you think the key matchup is going to end up being.
Man, I can't wait. I hope Davion Mitchell and Jalen Suggs match up in this one. I would like to think they will. But I think they could rotate guys. Baylor, and obviously they'll have a lot of.
I think the matchup is going to be Suggs on Mitchell, but Baylor's defense, like what they do is they just do so much. I don't think that we're going to necessarily see Davion locked up with Suggs.
Exactly. But the initial matchup will probably be Mitchell, I would think, on Suggs. And man, that is
happy, man. Like that's basically two guys as athletic as Robbie Hummel out there going back and forth.
I think the difference is going to be Baylor's front line and can they handle Drew Timme. I really do. I think Vital's got to stay on the court, and Everyday John's got to be Everyday John. And if they can get that, I think Baylor wins this game. I really do. I've said it all season. You know that. I love Gonzaga. I think Baylor's every bit as good. I think Jared Butler needed that first half, to start to get going, to see the ball go in from three. That was really important for him. I just think I like Baylor's top 8 better. How's that? I like Gonzaga's top 5 is elite level, but I like Baylor's top 8.
Gonzaga doesn't have any depth. Like when they go to those lineups when they have Anton Watson and Aaron Cook on the floor at the same time, that's when I'm like, please, 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 please get one of them out. Please, please, please don't let it be like this. Please, 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 please. Those are the ones where you kind of stress a little bit. I can't imagine what actual Gonzaga fans are thinking when those guys are on the floor. It's just,
Cook hasn't given him much, and Watson is just okay. But Baylor comes in again with Matthew Meyer, who's a weapon. Like Matthew Meyer can explode. It wouldn't shock you if Matthew Meyer had 16 points tomorrow night in the championship game at all. And I thought it was really important for him. He's a confidence guy, 100%. You can see it on his face. He wears it all on his sleeve. And I thought last night was so critical for him because not only did he make shots.
You're talking about Matthew Meyer?
Yeah. Not only did he make shots, but he played physically in that game. He wasn't out-toughed. And I think that's the biggest thing for him is once he realizes, I'm good enough. Like, he doesn't think he's good enough. You could see it with him. But against Houston, it was like, holy shit, you know what? Like, these guys aren't that much tougher than – in fact, like, I can play with these dudes, and I'm better than these dudes. I think the same thing has to happen for him against Gonzaga where he says, like, okay, Jalen Suggs, Drew Timme, like, I'm as talented as all you dudes. I'm the most talented guy on this Baylor team. So I can go in my length. My length is going to give – like, that's the one thing those other Baylor guys don't have, right? Teague's got to be big in this game. He's got to make his shots. Again, Baylor's got to be able to to me to control the tempo as much as anything.
Well, here's the problem: is that Baylor wants to play just as fast as Gonzaga.
Yeah,
And
but they don't want to. Not in this game.
Well, no, I do not believe that there's any chance that Scott Drew is going to say we're going to do anything different. I think he's going to say we're going to play the way that we play. Like, I expect them to send 3 guys to the glass every single possession because that's the way that Baylor plays. I expect them to attack the offensive glass. I expect them to push in transition. I expect them to do all of the same stuff that they always do every single game. Now, there's a couple things that I think are important to note here. One, I don't know how Gonzaga stops the Baylor ball screens. That's not Timmy's strength. They're not great in rotation. You can't switch because the idea of Drew Timme trying to guard Davion Mitchell is just asking him to foul out. If you get guys, I basically think you need Kisper on Mitchell. Otherwise, you have no chance of guarding him. Anytime you send help, he is too good of a passer. And they're the best 3-point shooting team in the country. So I don't know how they're going to guard him. I thought it was really interesting that they would blitz the ball screens with Timme, just trap every time that UCLA came off a ball screen. And I think you're going to have to do that and then hope that you can move in rotation well enough to keep Baylor from getting wide open looks, and then hope that they miss the contested threes that they get. But I think that this is a very, very advantageous matchup for Baylor offensively. The problem is, one, any missed shot, they're going to send enough people to the glass. If Gonzaga gets a defensive rebound, they're off and running, and they're going to get layups. How effectively can they get out in transition? How often can they get in transition? How many layups are they going to get in transition matters. I also think they'll be able to run off of makes because of the fact that there's going to be 3 people in the lane crashing the glass for Baylor. The other part of it is for Gonzaga, like the way that you want to beat this Baylor no-middle defense in the half court is to have bigger guards that can make those probing baseline drives and pick people out as soon as Baylor rotates. We've talked about this. What Baylor does is they force you to drive to the baseline so that they can help as soon as you put the ball on the floor because they know where you're going to go. They know which direction you're going to drive so they can anticipate it and send the help before you make a move.
Officiating is going to be huge in this game.
Yeah.
Absolutely huge.
Yep. If they can keep
to me again, and Suggs' decision-making is going to be huge in this game, right? I mean, think about that. What are you watching, Rob? Somebody says you're watching Newcastle. Is that true?
Yeah, I am, and I'm sweating it because they just scored, and we don't need to talk about that right now.
Really?
Yeah, it's bad. It's bad.
All right, I know it's Easter for you, so let's wrap this so you can get your Easter bunny outfit on. I want to see your Easter bunny outfit.
Jose Mourinho's got to get fired. Can we do a live stream about that? Jose Mourinho needs to get fired. Get him out of my club.
All I know is we saw Adam Morrison on the street last night. Borzello and I were walking, and Borzello's got his Chelsea jacket on or whatever. I guess Amo is a big Chelsea fan too. Or I don't know. They talk soccer for 5 minutes. I'm like, get me out of here. Just get me out of here.
Yeah,
the best part is the best part is we're going to try to get Adam Morrison today. I'll try to get him on a pod.
Hey, we got one back, baby. Let's go. We got one back, Goodman. Here we go.
You're telling me 2 goals happened within like a minute?
Let's go.
Has that ever happened in that sport?
Whenever Tottenham plays, yes, because all they do is give up goals. They're terrible. I hate them. All right, I'm going to go because I got to do Easter.
Right.
Now I'm going to watch this game, and I got to sweat it out, and I'm sick of talking to you.